Welcome back, whippersnappers. This is Gramps, Shapez2, episode 23, and we are ready. We are ready to dive in and get started on the new stuff. And not a lot of time has passed in game since I left you last, so this still hasn't caught up, but it will. And once it does, that's just another 3,000 of these shapes ready to deliver. So it is time. We are going to start in on the old MAM. And before we do, I wanted to go over wires with you and explain the way wires work. And while we do that, I'm going to just get some minor. I'm going to get some shapes coming in here, and I'm going to get some colors coming in so we can just mess around with all that stuff, because that will be part of it. And I also want to point out that it is not necessary by any means to wait this long before you go into creating your MAM. If indeed you want to do that, you could certainly start it as soon as you unlock wires and use it to create a lot of the shapes that we've been creating. You wouldn't want to use it to create your final milestone shapes, but if we look at milestones, you could use it to create all these shapes. But of course, the way the milestones work, you kind of have to create these shapes to build up to this shape anyway. So you might as well, the milestone shapes, you might as well just do them on your own. But you could certainly use them for tasks. And you know what? We probably will, just for some kicks. Just for something to do. So what I wanted to do is show you... Oh, and then, sorry, one more thing. Is I'm going to create our first MAM section over here, like in this area, and it's just going to directly feed in probably on this little middle belt here. Then we will expand it from there, and once we get it expanded, once we get it creating kind of everything we want it to, then we can take it and duplicate it and copy paste it up here and wherever else, and use any of these other points to feed in. So that will be future. And that's not going to be this episode, of course. That's going to be upcoming. So let's take a look. So wiring is down here. And if we remember, wiring is all unlocked with upgrades here. So it's right in here. So you've got the wire basics, logic gates, simulated buildings, and global wire transmission. These three were like 15 or 12 each, not super expensive, and this one I think is only like 10. So it's not expensive. You can do it. This one you do have to have the third floor unlocked, and other than that, that's all you need to do to start wires. So let's take a look. Wires are right here in our second little menu. And the first one is, of course, just a wire. There's a wire. Done. We are good to go. Now, when a wire has a circuit, if you have another wire and you go across it, you're now merging that. So this one wire also connects to all of this. Okay, so I can show an example of that by using a signal producer. So the signal producer is going to put out a signal, and I'm going to create a shape. This is just a circle that's uncolored, and it's feeding that circle uncolored throughout all this wire. So anything that touches this is going to recognize that shape. Now if you wanted to, you can get this wire bridge to put there. Then if you have a wire that goes across. You see it kind of jumps across. So it is not carrying that signal. And we can test this out too by using the display. So here's a display, and I'm going to put this display right by the processor. So we see it's, showing that. And then over here after the crossed wires, it's still showing the same thing. On the crossed wires, it's showing that. And on the crossed wire that's jumped, it's showing nothing. And way here at the end, it's also showing it. And then if I come in here, I can also change this to just be a color. You can type color -R, for instance. So that's showing red. Okay. And color can be red, blue, green. It could be cyan, which is the teal color. It could be yellow. It could be magenta, which is the purple color. So let's look at that. And it can also be white. And display is handy for a number of reasons. Display is great because it gives you, the coder, if you will, a visual feedback of what the signal looks like at this point in the chain. Okay, and we're going to get deeper into this, of course. The signal producer can also show a fluid. You can also just put a number in there if you wanted to do that, and I'm sure there's a good reason for that, but I don't know what it is. Null will just zero it out, and of course, I did the CU shape, but that could also, the capital C could also be an R for rectangle shape. And again, you just give it a color. So do R green. You could do spiky, or star. And if that's white, you can choose any color you want. And there's windmill, which will do yellow. And then what else? Yeah, circle. Yeah, we just have the 4 main shapes. And we'll do that one again, uncolored. U. So creating that code right here puts it in here. It starts in the top right and then goes clockwise. So top right, so this is RG, this is S, W, W, Y, and CU. Okay. And again, these can be grabbed from any of these. So if you wanted to look at this one, it's WU, windmill uncolored, and then dash dash is for a blank, and then windmill uncolored, and then dash dash. But any of these, now if you have 2 layers, they are separated by a colon. So you start with the bottom, which in this case is all just RB, 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 and then a colon, and then you've got your shape, top shape there. And for pins, you have a capital P dash. Okay, so capital P dash. And for crystals, see, this one's a crazy shape too. If you look at that, you have P dash and then P dash. That's the eyes of this guy. Crystals, let's scroll down a bit. Here's a crystal. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. I don't even know how we do that. How would you do that? I think with a lot of pins, maybe? Anyway, so yeah, crystals are all lowercase. So lowercase c, not an uppercase. Uppercase c is a circle. Lowercase c is a crystal. So crystal and then the color. Crystal green, crystal blue, crystal red, and then windmill uncolored. And that's what we've got. All right. So that just explains the codes, which we've seen before. You've seen me deal with those before. So here's another thing, is we have wire transmitters and receivers. So this is the transmitter, and it's got a little arrow pointing to the right here. So that's transmitting this way, and then the receiver is the little radar dish that's picking it up. So you can have a signal come into it, and you can see it lit up this little beam. This is basically the wire equivalent of a hop. It is instant. It happens immediately, and so there you go. And just like our hoppers, of course, you can rotate it however you want. You cannot shorten it. Yeah, see, doesn't that look like you're able to shorten things? It does. So I think maybe that's something they're talking about doing. You can do that too, if you wanted. But it has not happened. So right now, again, just like all the hoppers, the pipe and belt hoppers, you're going over 4 spaces. So it's a total of 6 spaces. You're jumping over 4. And then we have the global wire transmitters and receivers. So here's our transmitter, and that will transmit on any of these channels. And it's just basically our 8 colors, including uncolored. So channel 0 is red, then green, blue, cyan, magenta, yellow, white, and uncolored. And what you need to do for that is you would take a signal processor, like this guy, and feed it in there. So if we wanted to, we could take this and paste it in there. Now it's transmitting this signal on the red channel. So how do you receive that? Well, right back here, we have this, and we are receiving on channel 0 and grabbing a display. So you can see that's well over the 4 spaces here, and in fact we could take this, copy it. Well, I guess we can't copy it, but we could go way over here. Let's go over here, and there and there. Boom. See? So we're picking up that same signal way on the other side of the world. And then another thing that you can do with the receiver is it has the same channels, but it also will pick up random operator shape. So when we do that, look at this. We'll go to operator, and this is our random operator shape 1, which we've got the doubles. We've got circle, spike, square, and spike. So circle, spike, square, and spike. We can also do shape, well, that was shape 0. Shape number 1, we can do this, which is this guy. All right, now when you get to this stage in the game, after you've unlocked this last milestone, these 2 shapes for you might be completely different. This one is probably going to be just a uncolored single layer shape, but it's not going to be circle, spike, square, spike. In fact, on another game I was playing, this is only 3. It was like square, spike, square, and then blank. So it could have blanks in there too. And so these are randomized, completely randomized. And that's the secret of the MAM, is that we can take this data, and as we feed, after we feed in 1,000 of these shapes, this is going to change to be completely different. And once it does that, our MAM, if it is built correctly, is automatically going to update and start creating that new shape, whatever it is. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could build this manually and send it in. But that's not what we're doing. So that's everything on the wire tab. And I've shown you the display and the signal producer. So let's look at flow control. Flow control is going to show some other info. And let's just close this out. So we've got belts coming this way. And if we put that meter it's going to show us what is going through there. So we've got 180 per second. Now watch that number, because this is stopped up, is going to shrink. Should go down to 0. When it refreshes. While we're doing that, I'm going to come down here and bring in a pipe with this. Yeah. Oh, it didn't update. Why didn't it update? But it can take that out, and it can kick that out as a signal. And the signal is going to show you the shape that is flowing through it. Okay, so I guess it's just going to stay on 180, which is fine. Here, same thing. Oh no, it doesn't work there, I guess, on the pipe. Yeah, this only shows the speed and contents of a belt. It does not work with pipes, which is okay. But this does work with pipes. So we have a belt filter and a pipe gate, and these two essentially do the same thing. So I'm going to put it down here. Now you can see when we put this down that we have a green check mark here and a red X here. Now let me also, while we're here, I'm just going to put in some trash bins. So you can see that nothing is moving past here, and that's because it doesn't have a signal. So let's give it a signal. Use our handy dandy signal processor, and if we put in CU, 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 then it's going to look at every shape that comes through there, and if it matches that signal, it's going to pass it through where the check mark is. Okay, but if we say, and here, let me get a little display just so we can see things. Oops, if we did that, so it's a 3/4 circle, well now these don't match that. These do not match that, so it's going to shunt those off into the X path. Alright, same thing up here with our filter and our pipe gate. See, it dries it up and says no more for you. Okay, and I'm going to put a fluid tank in here just so we can see. Now let's do another wire. Again, we don't need a wire to do this. We could put the signal processor right there, but I just want to put in a display unit. So signal producer, and we will say color B, color dash B. Oop, I did that wrong. Did I? Color dash B. What is going on? It still says null. Did I? Okay, I don't know what I. Oh, I think I did this. See, I did this. So these are not color blue, so they are going off that way. This, however, is color blue, so it's going through and feeding. But if I change this to color yellow, the display updates, and then this cuts off. And this is not going to automatically drain unless we start feeding yellow ink in, but you can come up here and clear the contents. Just like everything else, that's just, you can also just click on it and type the letter I. Okay, so that is those filters. And let's just clear some of this off. Okay, So we also have a button. Button. So a button can be used just to turn things on and off. And let's see some examples of that. So again, we're just going to do a wire. Oops. And we will put a button on it. So if we click the button and hit toggle, it just turns it on. And all it's doing is creating a 1 signal. Okay, so if you know, there's ones and zeros. This is not a 0, this is a null. Okay, so this basically toggles between null and 1. So you can use this to just have, you can create kill switches, you can, create buttons to just stop things, is the basic idea of it. I don't use it a whole lot, so it's not a major thing. So our next section, though, is the logic gates, and this is where you get a little bit more programmy. Okay, so this is an AND gate, and I'm going to take this and copy it down here. So an AND gate takes 2 signals in, and if both of those signals are active, see, right now there's no signals that are active, so it returns a 0. Now this one on top I'm going to turn on. Now that's giving a 1. The bottom one, now I'm going to turn on, and now they're all on. Okay, because we have we've got 2 positive signals coming in, and that gives us a 1 here. That turns this signal on. Okay, and if I turn either of them off, then it toggles back to 0. Now there's an OR. So this is saying if either or one of these is on, then it'll work. So you see it's working now even though the bottom one is off. If I turn both of them off, then this goes back to 0. So that's an OR. Now a NOT symbol is going to be something in here, and that's sort of a post-processing. So that's going to take whatever signal it's getting from here and flip it. So right now it's getting nothing, but that's going to make it a 1. Now I turn this on, and the signal comes along here. It shuts this off because this is NOT, but this is the OR, so it works. Okay, and then the XOR activates if exactly one input is on. So I'm going to get rid of our NOR here. So again, one signal is on, so this works. Both signals are on, so it doesn't work. And you can see how that's different from an OR. It's similar but different from an OR. This, because the OR would work either way. Okay, an OR would work even with both of these on. All right. Then equal. An equal, if it's getting the same signal on both, then things are equal. And we're going to use equal a lot in the MAM, and we're using it different than this. Okay, we're going to use it to compare shapes and to compare colors. And then there's gate, and gate is a funky one. So let me rearrange this here. This, we'll do that, and we'll do that. And we'll a button there and a button there. Okay, so let's read this again. Forwards the input signal if the trigger signal on the top is on. So this is the trigger signal up here. So if I turn this on, it only comes to the gate. It doesn't go through. But if I turn this one on, then it goes through. Turn this off, they both go off. Okay? So again, a very specific functionality, and also not one that I've used a whole lot. I tend to use equal the most, and not. Equal and not. So those are those. Now we have simulated buildings. So to do this, let's get rid of that. And I'm going to create a new little wire section here. And let's get a signal processor in there and a display, so we can see what we're seeing, and display at the beginning and display at the end. Now, if I let's do this with let's pick a shape from here. So let's pick something like this is perfect. So we're copying that and I'm going to paste it on in here. Boom. Okay. There we go. Shape here, same shape here. Nothing modified in between. So with a simulated rotator, I'm going to put this right here, and it does rotate it. It gives it a quarter turn clockwise. Now, unfortunately, there's only a clockwise rotator for the simulated, but you can double it up, or you can triple it up. So this is the same as if you just have two, that's the same as a 180 rotator, and if you have three, it's the same as a single counterclockwise rotator. Okay. So let's look at the next one, a half destroyer. So you put this in, and again, it chops off the west half of this shape. And I want to point out that these are stackable. So this takes it and first rotates it in half, rotates it a quarter, and then chops off the west portion. And of course, position matters. So, oops. So if we, do the rotator after we chop it in half, then it does that. So basically, these work in the same way as our other our actual buildings. Simulated stacker. So this simulates stacking one shape on top of another. So I'm going to put that there. This is going to come in and be our top shape. Then this will be our bottom shape. And again, we could just stack those on top of each other. And again, you could do other things to them. Like you could rotate, right? And of course, it doesn't have to be the same shape. Let's see. Yeah, you could simulate this guy here by, having this shape on the top or this one on the bottom and this one on the top. Okay. Now there's also an unstacker. So let's get that in. This is going to take one shape in. Let me do this. Copy, paste. Boom. Alright, that works. And then unstacker. There, okay. So this is an unstacked shape. So let's go find something that is stacked. I don't want to use the pins one. So we'll do this. This has no pins. Boing, boing. And feed that in here. So this unstacks. This is something that is very useful for our MAM, because eventually we're going to get, in the MAM, we're going to get shapes that have 4 stacks. Okay, and once we do that, then we need to unstack them, and we need to, because we need to break down each layer and then each quadrant of each layer individually. Okay, and then you just have to figure out too, which is which. And sometimes these guys, if we, let's try hitting F. Yeah. So they are flippable. So now you see we've got the ears on the top and the face on the bottom. If I hit F and paste, face on the top, ears on the bottom. It looks the same, which is not optimal, but that's the way it is. And again, that may be updated at some point. And we have a painter. So let's take that. Let's start a new one here. And we will take our shape, and I'm just going to have that. But let's say it is something different color-wise. Okay. Now we are going to take our simulated painter and put it right here. And then use another signal producer and say color R. So it takes that shape and paints it. Now it's just doing the top shape. So if we do put in a stacked shape here, you can see it only paints the top one red. So that one was green and green, now it's green and red. And same thing for crystal generator. Oops. So this takes, it added crystal to the bottom shape because that was missing spaces. It had dashes in there. Now if we take this and do dash in there, it'll also put a crystal on the top. Okay. And swapper, same thing. It's just going to simulate a swapper. A pin pusher is going to add pins virtually. It's sort of hard to see, but yeah, you can see there's pins under there at the bottom. And then our last one is the shape analyzer. This one is huge. So this one is one of our most valuable tools in the MAM. So what it does is it takes a shape and breaks it into color and shape. And all it's identifying is the northeast first layer quarter. Okay, so this is a single layer item and it's the same shape. But if we put in something more complex, like let's just put in this guy. It is telling us that it's identifying this ear on the top right. Okay, it's saying it's white and it's a spike. This is the MVP of all MAMs, because what we have to do is we have to identify things before we create them, right? We have to see this is the shape that's wanted, so we need to find out what it is. And again, let's take this as our first sample, because even though it's one layer, we need to know that this is a quarter circle, because that's really the important thing to know. Okay, so that is a quick overview of wires and wiring, and I don't know if that made any sense. I hope it did. As I said, we are going to get going here this next episode and start actually building. There's going to be platforms involved. There's going to be a lot of trains involved. We're going to be bringing shapes from all over the globe. It's very exciting, and we are going to be bringing them in and processing them and getting things going. So in the meantime, we've been having nonstop deliveries this whole time. So let's do a end of the episode check-in on where we are with our operator level. You can see that we're operator level 80, which is top 5.3% worldwide. Let's start claiming some of these guys. Boom. Boom. 5.3 is what we were at. Oh, this one gets a double. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're up to level 11 there, and we were in the top 5.3. Now we're in the top 3.5 worldwide at 94. Pretty cool. We're going to be hitting 100 pretty soon, and we are going to keep it going. This is also a great thing when you're playing with limited platforms, because each of these is giving us 200 platforms. We have unlimited platforms, so that's not really an issue. And right now we've got 22. We've got a total of 31,000 available to us, of which we're only using about 9,000. So we've got 23,000 left, but I think we're okay. So excellent. Thank you so much. And we are diving into actually building the MAM next episode. So please come back. If you're enjoying this, a like and a subscribe is never frowned upon. Again, thank you to everyone who helped me get over 100. We actually got to 101 subscribers. Very exciting. I've been telling all my friends. They're like, and what is this game again? What do you do? What? This game appeals to a very specific group of people. And I know you are in that group. I'm in that group. So anyway, thank you so much. We will see you next episode, which will be tomorrow. This is Gramps, signing off.